1,000 miles per hour, Alice Shattuck. 1,000 miles per hour.
Life sure has been crazy this week.
It is, yes. So we woke up this morning in northern Vermont, and we got up and we took the kids swimming, and then we took the kids hiking and swimming. And it was beautiful, and then drove down here and had to get miss some traffic. So then tried to go to Market Basket to buy our recommended foods for our not diet but new lifestyle, and couldn't find them. So it's been just a blur, and now we're right here. And Alice is going out tonight, ladies' night. Alice going out tonight.
With the conservative ladies, yes, indeed.
Yeah. So if you guys are up in the Seaport District, look for 3 chicks. Who seem to be of means. Alice makes a lot of money now. And,
I don't know that that's necessarily
yes,
true.
And so there you go. Guys, these are 2... Alice, you're not single, right?
I'm not single.
You don't consider yourself single?
No.
So that's good. But there's 2 other ladies, your wingmen, or your whatever, who are
both
single. So there you go.
Conservative, yes, indeed.
So there you go. We'll see him go to Marky's or the other place there, up there by the water.
Browns?
And just sling them
the
drinks. Yeah. Okay, so... So I guess we should start off because we did, during our 18-hour road trip, we did listen to a lot of the Sunday shows. And right now there seems to be a lot of Democrats just thrilled that they've got good news. They've had good news for a couple of weeks now. For them, it's good news. I don't know how much good news there actually is. The Inflation Reduction Act, or sorry, the climate and whatever, nobility bill, whatever they call it now,
Right.
has passed, and you know, it's just a throwaway. It's a giveaway to the news is thrilled too, because they get to now concentrate on Lake Mead, which is the thing of the thing now, and then show us how we really need to take climate action, because it's so funny, because there's no reason to believe that anything we do at all will make Lake Mead better or make fewer hurricanes, there's no reason to think that any of that is true. It's just simply a bunch of theories based on projections. Like, it could might do the
Well, right, and even so, like right now, obviously the big climate change news right now is that we're in a drought. So of course, like all the nice liberals around here are like complaining about everybody whose lawns still look nice because it means they must be watering more than they're supposed to, et cetera, and they're very mad. And so the whole thing, because we're in a historic drought. Don't you realize we're in a historic drought? We're going to be seeing more and more of this in the coming years if we don't change our ways, et cetera. Right, and a bunch of the Sunday shows had a big segment on this stuff with the Colorado River. They're cracking down on water use from that because of the historic drought and all this stuff. But there's no, like you're saying, there's no evidence that anything, that we do with the plastic bags or the styrofoam containers or not using straws or whatever else it is that we're supposed to not do, not drive our cars as much. We're supposed to all buy electric cars. We're supposed to have $7 a gallon gas, all this stuff. Like, there's no reason to believe that any of that would make the rain come. Like, we're essentially just being a weird, pre-modern tribe that's like, you know what? If we do the right rain dance, the rain will just magically come. If we make the right sacrifice to the climate gods, then magically it will all happen. I mean, like, even if you say human activity is altering the environment, which, like, of course it is. I don't see how it couldn't be. There's too many of us. We're too all over the planet. Like, I'm sure that we impact the climate and the ecosystem in various ways that we cannot predict because it's complicated out there and stuff we do has, a ripple effect around us, right? So, acknowledging that stuff we do impacts the environment, it's not clear to me that, not driving our car as much is going to reverse that process. You can't, once you spill the milk, you can't put the milk back in the jug by tilting it back upwards. It doesn't flow back up into the jug. Like, you can't reverse the process that way. So it's not clear to me that that's like what's going to actually fix the problem, right? So, but it makes them feel good, right? That's the point. Is like, if we all just sacrifice a little bit, I saw some post by what's her name, the Swedish kid, Greta Thunberg.
Oh wait, so I'm looking at me in the video. I'm trying to see if my face looks thinner. Does it look thinner?
I think your face does look thinner, honey.
Thinner?
I definitely
you guys looking in the video?
do.
Does it look a little thinner? I think it looks a little thinner.
Good. Well, now you see the video too. Is that why you looked all distracted over there? You always yell at me for being distracted by my computer.
Because I'm trying to see if my face looks thinner in the video.
I think you look much thinner, sweetie.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, at his first weigh-in, Tom lost 9 pounds.
Which is a record, by the way.
World record. So, I mean...
Can you just put the camera on me? I want to see if I look skinny.
It'll switch to just you. It's on a switcher.
So what's all this? What's all these comments going on?
There's all kinds of people commenting.
Julie and
this
Phil,
is what
hi
I
guys, happy
to.
Sunday. That's today? It's not today. It's
yes,
today?
Yes, I replied to them. I said, hi. I said, getting
That's
ready to
Phil,
stream. Happy Sunday.
Phil, who Pearl Harbored me recently.
And Julie calls us too.
Julie, who reached out to me about Oasis. That was Julie, right? Or was that not Julie? Was that Julie?
About
the band
that
Oasis?
might have been somebody else.
What was it? Okay. Okay. And
speaking of which,
Oasis... Hey, there's Jon Stewart, the great Jon Stewart. Oh, this is great, Alice. Trish, hi, Trish.
Speaking of which, by the way,
House of Dragons. Oh, is that tonight?
I guess that's the premiere.
I don't watch that stuff. I don't like it. Alice loves it.
So apparently,
Alice is
this is
GOT because of the terrible finale.
Alice is off Game of Thrones because of the terrible finale.
Oh, so you wrote that? Okay.
Yes.
Too dark for. It is too dark for me. They were like killing infants and water. You guys, Game of Thrones people are sick, but that's fine. But there's a chance I'd watch it. So I've heard this.
See, Jon Stewart says you're definitely thinner, and Trish said also you actually do look thinner. See?
Thank you.
See?
You see?
He says Kirk won't be able to call you a fathead anymore soon.
That's exactly right. There was another vicious shot at me, by the way, on their dishonest show.
I know.
Can you imagine that they went to a studio. God knows what part of the armpit of the country they're in. They found a studio, rented the studio, or just used the studio, and still took time out to disparage and broadside attack me, Alice. Vicious bastards. Let me tell you something about Kirk Seamus Minihand.
Okay, honey.
He is, and Tommy, I'm going to ask you to use earmuffs for this. He is Billerica trash who crawled into Winchester. Yes, not Tommy. Minihand is who crawled into
Tommy?
Winchester. Don't we have a Tommy from Billerica?
Danny is.
Danny. I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry. I have stroked out. Minihand crawled in Billerica trash from Billerica through Woburn, schlepped through Montvale Avenue, and schlepped across Winchester right into the Nouveau Riche section. It's BS. He did nothing to earn having been in Winchester. He immediately gets ensconced because his dad was essentially gaming the stock market for years. Gets ensconced into the nice part of town where he claims to not even know. He claims that he's never even been to my part of Winchester, which is the real part of Winchester, which is Winchester, Stoneham, whatever, and then lives that life of the life of Rolls Royces, etc. So that's what you get right there, and he's off, so he won't know this for the next 2 weeks. So
yes, we're
Although
Tom is a very waspy, high class brand of impoverished right now.
Exactly. But I grew up hard Scrabble part of Winchester. Let the record show that. And meanwhile, Minihand totally fraudulently scraped himself there. I have all your Minihand information, by the way. I've been doing my own intel on him as well.
Is this going to be the new season of The Case by Tom Shattuck?
That's exactly right. Mine's on him. His is on Dr. Dan. Mine's on him. Exactly. But all of these people, Minihand, rich section of town, ensconced there. Mark Arkelbloom, who's on Fox 25, rich section of town. Pete Gustin, rich section of town. All the rich section. They're all from the Nouveau Riche section.
Resentment doesn't become you.
Yes, it does, Alice. Yes, it does. All of them. And the Olympian, rich section of town. Betty Davis lived in Winchester briefly, rich section of town.
What about all of Whitey Bulger's victims and compatriots?
That's Kirk's section. That's the Nouveau Riche section. The guy who just whacked Whitey Bulger, the kid.
He's basically Kirk's neighbor.
He was Kirk's best friend in Winchester High School. Yes,
that's
they're
not
all
true.
From yes, he is. He was from
his friend. But I know he was from Winchester High School.
They were peas in a pod. I'll just say that I have moles. Right. I have moles around town.
Okay.
So there we go. All right. So thank you very much. It's not like I had to claw for those compliments whatsoever, Alice, or draw them out of people, or.
Well, Julie and Phil asked if it's you or a blade of grass over on the left side of the screen. See?
And that's a valid question. You see? Thank you very much, everybody. All right. So, I mean, with the politics stuff, I'm done with the Liz Cheney stuff. I don't care about it. I know she's doing her thing. The fact that she says, the moment you say that Trump, sent an armed mob to the Capitol, you're done. That's what it's done. It's like people who use the big lie or whatever. You're done. There was no armed mob. You think Americans, especially that crowd, couldn't have figured out how to arm themselves? You don't think they have guns all over the place? There was nobody really armed. There was one guy with a gun outside. No, there was no... An armed mob is an armed mob, and that wasn't it, okay? It was a mob, no doubt about that, and they were and not great. But it was not that. As far as, other things going on, I just heard one thing's interesting. The Democrats do have because of January 6th and because of the Trump stuff post-election, they do have an advantage because Republicans have to be cagey. And people see caginess and they're like, yeah, my weasel alarms go off a little bit. But Republicans have to be cagey.
Right.
I mean, there's no dishonor in being a Trump supporter, and there's 71 million of them. So what are you going to just say, throw them all away? That's what like Liz Cheney was talking about, election deniers and believers of deniers. Like, shut up, man. You can't. But like, Chris Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, was on Fox. Did you hear any of it? The Fox.
I heard you listening to it, but I wasn't.
Oh, Fox News Sunday.
At that moment. Mm-hmm.
By the way, that Minihand trash is only for him, as in Bill Ricker trash. I respect Bill Ricker. I love it. I have ties there myself, obviously.
Yeah, we have actually relatives who listen to this show who
damn it!
Own Bill Ricker.
That's right. You guys, well, they know they're exempted from that. This is a surgical attack against one person who's probably not around to listen.
Well, you should be careful who you catch in your friendly fire.
No. Well, they know. I mean, but Chris Sununu, I mean, he is absolutely running for president in 2024.
Isn't everybody?
Yeah, but he was on, Fox had him on for about 18 minutes today. Uh-huh. And he is gusto, like they interviewed him. It was Brian Kilmeade, whatever, brought him in. Bill Hammer brought him in. He's like, "What's up, brother?" He's like he is going. Everybody's trying to do the same thing. Try to be extremely alpha, extremely positive and hyped up. And there's some whistling past the graveyard because they don't want to embrace the Trump thing. They want to say that it's very tough for these Republicans. They don't want to dismiss outright the Trump, the classified material situation as being serious. At the same time, they're all saying it's highly inappropriate for the Biden presidency, for Biden to be checking out a political opponent. And it's just funny to watch. It's almost everybody's. It's like they've all got the same consultant, which is, they had the same consultant in 2016 too. I like Chris Sununu just fine. I kind of wish that he'd run for Senate, but maybe whoever will beat who's Hassan up there anyway. Mm-hmm. But he's an interesting guy, and I like that, and I like the idea that he slammed. They've been talking about today. The CDC has talked about how we need to do things differently. It's like, we need to do things differently. Anybody who was anywhere that was any part of telling people that it was in the interest of public health to go out and celebrate George Floyd, they all need to be fired. And that whatever did that needs to be liquidated and melted down. Mm-hmm. It's like we're going to make some changes. Yeah, first fire you, and then everybody else. Like, if the CDC can't protect from pandemics because we're a first world country, and I understand that maybe it seems like there's a lot of privilege at work there, but there is. The whole idea of us spending a lot of money on wars to put our side over the top and on missiles so that we can annihilate our enemies, and us being expanded into the world, and for us spending billions and trillions of dollars on our bureaucracy, is because we don't want to be people who have to worry about pangolins. And until 2.5 years ago, if you said everybody will be wearing masks, you'd say, what? No, we're not. This is America. We don't wear masks. Sorry, that happens in Taipei. It does. I'm sorry about that. It doesn't happen here.
Well, right. And, I mean, Chris Sununu has not been great on the pandemic in terms of, restrictions and stuff. Like, better than Massachusetts, marginally, but it's not Florida or Texas up here any of the states.
No.
And, I mean, much to the disappointment of a lot of people that I personally know who, look to New Hampshire from Massachusetts for having, more and better freedoms. And it certainly in New Hampshire was better than in Massachusetts. Like, I will give it that. For squish New England Republican governors, Sununu definitely was better than Baker on pandemic performance, which makes sense because his state is a tiny bit more purple. But realistically, like, he's still been way more restrictive than other parts of the country, and I mean, people notice that and remember, and it's not. So
let me ask you a question,
yeah.
and I should have asked Michael Graham about this because I remember us talking about while it was happening. Why do you think that was?
I think New Hampshire is just a lot more blue than it used to be, among other things. I just, I think that the New England states kind of were moving in sync a little bit, and it was very like pandemic cautious in New England, and part of that also was the fact that Massachusetts was hit really hard in that first initial wave. Like, nowhere has been hit again in the pandemic through all the subsequent waves as like Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey were in that first batch. And it really, I mean, yes, in terms of like when you look at it in the spike, in terms of the later spikes, it's not as high, but that's because it was really just concentrated in those tiny areas. The like deaths per capita in those states during that time, in large part because of the nursing home issues that they had, where they were putting COVID positive people back into nursing homes, not being mindful of the fact that the elderly have a massively, massively overinflated risk of COVID. That really just killed massive numbers of people. I remember reading a statistic sometime like after it was like, even it was in 2020 at some point, and I'm going to get it not quite right, but like all those states had like an insane percentage of nursing home residents died. I think New Jersey was like over 10%. I think it was like 11% of the nursing home residents in New Jersey were dead at the end of that first wave. It was crazy. Not percent of people in the nursing homes who got COVID, but like percent of people actually in the nursing homes. And the incredible lack of care taken for people in the nursing homes. I mean, we've all always known that nursing homes are like terrible hellholes, but I mean, the pandemic really, really brought it into relief. And these northeastern states, I think, got scared off COVID early because they really did have the death early on in ways that other states never saw, or was spread out in those states over a much longer period of time. Age adjusted, because Florida has a big elderly population, age adjusted, Florida did better, right? So that initial wave that killed off so many people in nursing homes in the Northeast really, I think, put the scare into a lot of people in the New England area. And I mean, like, our COVID restrictions were ridiculous. Even into 2021, spring of 2021, I was at the Little League baseball field not wearing a mask and getting dirty looks because we were still all supposed to be wearing them outside, away from other people outside at the Little League baseball field watching our kids play. Not like coaching the kids, going up and talking to them, but like me standing by myself off by the fence was getting dirty looks because I didn't have a mask on. It really was just, absurd. And that was the rule in our state at that time. We had it absolutely ridiculous. New Hampshire was like a shade better. Certainly there was like less compliance. Like if you went up to the New Hampshire market baskets, there were fewer people wearing masks. But I can tell you, like when we were in Connecticut earlier this week, because that's where we started the week this week, was in Connecticut. There were a lot of people wearing masks in stores and stuff. I can't believe how many people are still wearing masks. I have little to no confidence that the schools will get very far into the year without requiring masks again. I mean, like, do you think they're going to make the kids put them back on? I feel like they are.
Oh, God. I don't think so. I don't think so. Enough. I mean, for frig's sake, I'd rather just die than wear the mask. But just kill me, all right?
I mean, even like when they first allowed people to not wear the masks in school in Massachusetts, a bunch of people like went on social media and begged other people to continue to wear them, to be nice. And a bunch of people said they would. Like, it's fine. Like,
and remember, they said, wear them because
I have a person at home who's immune compromised. Right. You have to all wear masks, right? Because
and so then we found out that the mask and the other stuff doesn't really do anything. But still, right. This is a site we can never again.
It's like the climate change
plug.
thing.
It's like a PBX operator. You can't plug in a pandemic or a national emergency ever again into the fragile psyche of Americans, because we're a fragile people apparently, and we were hysterical when we shouldn't have been. And it started out like fairly funny. We all watched Tiger King together, but half the country
just lost their minds.
Yep, went nuts. And
what's so funny to me is it's the exact same people who spent the month leading up to when they went nuts telling us we shouldn't be afraid of COVID and that it was just Trump's xenophobia and it wasn't a real risk and we should all shut up because Trump was so xenophobic and it was our Asian hate that was causing Trump to say this about COVID, and it wasn't even spreading person to person and it wasn't a real risk. Remember that? That was the exact same people who then are going to turn around and tell us that we're still in a pandemic. It's not over. I mean, even the CDC has now tried to walk back the messaging and say, like, we're now in an endemic phase. Like, we're not going to all need to do masks now. Like, we don't need to have vaccine mandates now. There's still colleges out here demanding that kids have tons of these vaccines. There's still people getting fired from jobs for not having boosters. I see these posts in Facebook groups all the time. People asking for like legal help because they're not up to date with all their boosters and their job is going to fire them if they don't get a shot, both shots and 2 boosters. Like and we know now that especially with these newer variants, people who are vaccinated are just as likely to get it pretty much as people who aren't, and they still spread it. Like, we know this is happening, and I don't understand why we're still doing these policies. I mean, I guess it's the same thing we were talking about before, that, you know, we need to like control Z 2020 because the whole thing is, you know, it's done now. We don't need to keep all the same policies, but there still are places firing people for not having enough COVID shots. There still are colleges requiring students to mask in class. It's just insanity. Like, some people just aren't going to be okay. And they're mad at the CDC for, like, quote, giving up.
Well, I mean, but it is ridiculous that this. You're right, and obviously those people are too far gone. But
I mean, Trish
CDC
says in the chat she's not allowed to enter her employer's office buildings right now because she's not vaccinated enough or whatever. It's insanity. And
if you are fully vaccinated and want to attend a small outdoor gathering with people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, or dine at an outdoor restaurant with friends from multiple households, the science shows if you are vaccinated, you can do so safely unmasked. On the CDC website, we have...
That was April of 2021, so that changed again.
...posted examples of numerous outdoor activities that are safe to do without a mask if you are fully vaccinated. People are much safer when they're wearing those masks indoors, as indicated by the green on the right side of that graphic. And right now, it's very hard to tease apart who is vaccinated, where they are in the vaccination. So it's not just to protect themselves, but largely to protect others and really to protect the unvaccinated.
The science now is in, and there is no difference between...
Dude, Jill Biden just got over testing positive for COVID after her quadruple vaccinated husband had tested positive for COVID and isolated himself with super masks on all the time for days and days, testing every day, and she still managed to get it from him.
I'm asking you to just hold on a little longer, to get vaccinated when you can, so that all of those people that we all love will still be here when this pandemic ends.
Why is she the one heading up the review? She needs to go immediately.
Yeah,
when I first started at CDC about 2 months ago, I made a promise to you. I would tell you the truth, even if it was not the news we wanted to hear. Now is one of those times when I have to share the truth, and I have to hope and trust you will listen. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom. We have so much to look forward to.
That is the director of the Centers for Disease Control, saying she has a feeling of impending... Why are we hearing about her feeling of impending doom? Why is this something for her psychologist or for us?
So much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope.
These people...
But right now, I'm scared.
Right now, I'm scared. Well, that's fine. Just go be scared and quit.
From FDA and recommendations from CDC, we will be working to scale up pediatric vaccination. That said, it will take some time. And as I just noted, as we head into these winter months, we know we cannot be complacent. We also know that from previous data that schools that have had masks in place were 3.5 times less likely to have school outbreaks requiring
That was profoundly disproven.
Yeah, that
by the
study was
Atlantic.
total garbage.
Yes.
school closure. So right now we are going to continue to recommend masks in all schools for all people in those schools. And we will look forward to scaling up pediatric vaccination during this period of time.
Go to hell. Absolutely. Incredibly.
Thank you guys for doing this again, as always. I have one other question, but given what the director just said, I guess I want to follow up a little bit and ask, if I heard you correctly, you said you're concerned about impending doom. What is it that you saw in the data that is causing you to sort of start to feel this way again?
When we were stagnating at around 40 to 50,000 cases a day for a couple of weeks there, we didn't see trends going down anymore, but things were sort of holding steady. What we've seen over the last week or so is a steady rise in cases. We're now in the 60 to 70,000 range. And when we see that up to...
What a leader, by the way. How do you want your pilot to come back and say, I have impending doom?
Just have a feeling.
Okay, good.
Taking cases, what we have seen before is that things really have a tendency to surge and surge big. We know that cases sometimes can be a week or two behind the behaviors that lead to those cases, the mixing that leads to those cases. We know that travel is up, and I just worry that we will see the surges that we saw over the summer and over the winter again.
That is the CDC trying to use, she's going to lose the script, trying to use scare tactics to manipulate behavior. Right. They should have no part in any of that stuff. They should be automatrons. That's it.
Talk about agencies that need defunding.
Frig yes. I think, well, not only that, but the mission creep.
Generally, the word gun, for those who are worried about research in this area, is followed by the word control. And that's not what I want to do here. I'm not here about gun control. I'm here about preventing gun violence and gun death.
Oh.
Is that a disease?
Well, that's the next thing, of course, that they're going to be doing.
And climate change and race, of course. Because it's not political. Those are just health issues, obviously. So, that's where we are. Meanwhile, is everybody overdosing from fentanyl everywhere a health issue?
Well, you would figure...
Is the massive mental health crisis a health issue that they should be worried about? Or are we only worried about health issues that are also political hobby horses for the left?
Right. And by the way, if we're talking about fentanyl and the health issue, shouldn't the border be fair to talk about? Shouldn't that be a thing?
No.
Freaking
no border.
Remarkable.
As a matter of fact, caring about the border is a health issue.
Right. That's right.
As a matter of fact, wearing a hat that says, "Let's go Brandon," is a health issue that needs addressing too. Did you see this thing where this Twitter blue check was upset that somebody at the airport, who just a baggage handler, was wearing a "Let's Go Brandon" hat?
Oh no.
This guy, his name is on Twitter is Christian Damiana. He's the commissioner for ANC 3D, American University, BA, MPA, a Connecticut Yankee living in the 51st state, he, him. So he lives in D.C. I don't know what he is exactly. But so he tweeted at American Air today, very disappointed to see an at American Air crew employee wearing a "Let's Go Brandon" hat that says FJB on the side, no less, at work. Does this match your values?
Christ.
Congrats, party of the people, trying to get baggage handlers freaking fired from their jobs because you don't like who they like for president?
Right.
I mean, are
that
you
said,
serious?
he probably should not be wearing I assume they're not supposed to be wearing hats to talk about political stuff.
Well, would anybody dare say anything if it were a Black Lives Matter hat?
No.
So, I mean, the guy's not really, he's not the stewardess.
But you know what the thing is that this guy who's tweeting,
right?
At this point,
him.
At this point, we should be thankful that the baggage handlers are showing up for work.
No kidding.
Because a lot of people aren't. And, maybe we want to keep those people around, so maybe don't rat everybody out. Well, rats are terrible. That's the main thing. If you hang out with a bunch of people who are rats, then you're terrible.
Well, yeah, and if you're publicly tweeting to publicly shame people who are working class employees of huge corporations in order to get them in trouble, seek help. Talk about privileged behavior. Mr. Rainbow Flag, him, and his Twitter profile who lives and works in D.C., one of the most expensive places in the country, and I don't know, probably has not done a lot of work with his hands recently, is trying to get working people fired. What psychotic behavior is that? What crazy behavior? If you have such a big problem and you're such a tough guy, why don't you go to the employee and say, I think that, seeing that in the workplace, really bothers me. Or, let the guy's boss tell him, what's the problem? Say something there or go away. Why do you need to publicly tweet it at the company?
Correct. Jennifer Granholm today on Fox.
And really, you could make the same argument. We were talking about tax breaks for adding solar panels, energy efficient windows, appliances, heat pumps. What do you say to the families who simply can't afford this stuff in the first place?
Well, number one, for your home, yes, there are significant incentives in this bill, which is great, to reduce people's energy costs on a monthly basis. So if you are low income, you can get your home entirely weatherized through the expansion from the bipartisan infrastructure law, a significant expansion. You don't have to pay for anything. If you want heat pumps, insulation, new windows, that is covered. If you are moderate income, today you can get 30% off the price of solar panels. Those solar panels can be financed, so you don't have to have the big outlay at the front. And when they're financed in a way that reduces your energy bill, even though you have solar panels. With this 30% off, it's a significant incentive. Same thing with if you don't qualify for the weatherization program, you will be able to, starting next year, get rebates on the appliances and equipment that will help you reduce your monthly energy bill by up to 30%. This is all about reducing costs for people.
And yet
that's one way to put it.
Right. So buy electric cars, and solarize everything right now. If you have the money.
Dumps a bunch of more money into the economy for fake stuff in order to juice inflation more. So congrats, everyone, because everything that they do that involves dumping more money into the economy for people to go out and buy stuff, which that's what solar panels are. It's stuff that you're buying. You're paying for people's labor and materials to buy new stuff for your house. And even if it reduces your electric bill, now you have more money to spend on other stuff. What does that do? That drives up inflation more. Everything that they do, it drives up inflation. So that's why all the news people are done calling it the Inflation Reduction Act too. They're done talking about that because they all know now at this point that it's going to do nothing to reduce inflation. If anything, it will make it worse. But, this is why they're all optimistic. They're optimistic because they, quote, got something done, which in Washington speak means they found a new way to make your life worse. They got something done. They all pulled together, and through their powers combined, they found a way to make sure that we could actually suffer a little bit more and get a little bit less money in our pocket. Thank you, everyone. They're gonna send some IRS agents after us and make prices go up even more. So, that's number one, that they're optimistic about that. Number two, they have a few key Senate races where they're doing better than they were hoping to do. I still think all is not lost in these Senate races. A lot can still happen between now and Election Day. The Republicans are almost certainly at this point going to take the House, I would say. The Senate is more in question. The Dems could pick up seats there. Part of that's just a function of which seats are up.
Well, this week then, Biden's going to do student debt relief.
That's going to piss people off, to be honest.
I would say so.
You.
Nina Turner, who's some kind of activist, whatever, she has 551,000 followers on Twitter. Thought leader, activist, senior fellow, race power politics, says, FYI, student debt cancellation isn't paid for by the taxpayers. The federal government is the lender.
Who exactly do they think finances the federal government?
To me, that is, if you are, there's nothing more you can do in this country to spark a civil war than reward the haves by making the have-nots pay for them.
Right. That's why they need all those IRS agents, is because they're about to
Right.
forgive everybody's student debt. Oh, I have more things I want to talk about, but I guess we should do the chat and then take it over to just our Patreon listeners.
All right, here we go. Ugh.
What?
No, it's nothing. I feel I'm good. No.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Steve.
Hi, Steve.
One thing you left out when you were playing those clips of Marr and Ben Affleck and Sam Harris is that Ben Affleck was shit-faced.
Oh, right.
You can
Was
see
he?
it. He was drunk on the air, and that's one of the reasons why he was so out of control, angry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, did you know that, remember Project Greenlight came out? Do you remember that? It came out in the late 90s or early 2000s, but it was a thing where you could write a screenplay like they did for Good Will Hunting, Damon, whatever, and you submitted your screenplay, and if they liked it, they'd make your movie. But anyway, Affleck was bleep-faced in most of that, too. But not, like, fun-loving. He was like arrogant jerk.
He seems like the type of person, not to stereotype,
Yeah.
but who would be an angry drunk person.
Yeah. By the way, your husband and my co-writer submitted our screenplay, which I wrote which we wrote in 1998, and it did not get.
Yeah. Now Brad Pitt, for example.
What happened? You moved right off of me.
How did your screenplay do, honey, in
It
Project
didn't
Greenlight?
fare well.
Okay.
We sent it to the Massachusetts Screenwriters Contest too, and actually it got in like to the second round of whatever that thing was. And one of the comments was both authors seem to be rather misogynistic.
Wow.
Okay.
Can I say what I was going to say about Brad Pitt, though?
Go ahead.
Because did you see the stuff Angelina Jolie alleged about him in their like custody battle or whatever it is they're doing? Is that, and I actually like. First of all, I don't believe that this really necessarily happened in exactly this way, but like honestly, the grain of truth that might be in it, I find kind of entertaining, because basically when they were like flying private with all their 75 kids and stuff, she said he like got drunk and yelled at them all, and then he said that one of her kids was dressed like a Columbine kid and that she was ruining the family, which I thought was kind of like, I was like, that sounds like that could actually be plausible. Like it's totally plausible to me that their kid could be dressed like a Columbine kid, and that like she could totally be ruining the family with her sort of like, because she's a little crazy for sure. Remember, wasn't it when she was with like Billy Bob Thornton, didn't they like have vials of each other's blood and stuff? They were like creepy.
Yes.
So she totally has like a weird, dark, gothy side or something. I don't know. I could totally see that. But I don't see Brad Pitt as being like potentially a like angry drunk person necessarily so much. Do you? As like Ben Affleck?
No, I'm all for him on what he said, by the way. I'm all for that. I get no problemo.
Hey, Alice, it's Mike from Newton.
Hi, Mike.
I can't believe Tom just brought the show right into the gutter, suggesting that you should be naked on
Thank you.
OnlyFans, beating him. Disgusting. I'm just disgusted by it. Although, I would pay $5.99 a month. Sorry.
Alice? Yes.
Not happening.
Alice,
Not happening.
for the family.
No.
You have to feed the family. You're naked anyway.
Absolutely.
God made you like this. Alice, I'm going to ask you to reconsider.
What do you mean I'm naked anyway?
You know what, Mike? I will...
Thomas, no.
I will leak photos. I will make this happen.
I believe that's illegal.
We'll make this happen.
I believe
Not
that's
if
illegal.
you're married.
What's going on? I got some ideas for your OnlyFans videos.
Fully clothed, remember?
One
Fully
could be Tom in a mock studio where he's pretending to do a radio show, and then Repo Man slowly take stuff out of the room, including the mic.
That's not
another.
That's great.
Actually,
yeah.
Like we could do that probably without having to do any production.
That could happen. That's a good one though.
One is another idea is Tom is in a stockade while somebody eats Arby's beef and cheddar in front of him. Another one could be you take a battery and hook it up to Tom's nipple rings. Alice. Okay, just let me know what you think of those ideas.
Oh, man, what I kill for a beef and cheddar. Allison and I were having major hallucinations about wanting to sink our chompers into a Big Mac today. Oh, my goodness.
Like, when I was younger, when I seen like a bigger guy with a cute girl, I always thought, oh, they must be really in love, you know. He must have one hell of a sense of humor. But as I've gotten older, I'm like either of two mindsets. Either he's got money or he's got dirt on her.
Yes.
So Alice, what dirt does Tom have on you?
Well,
all right,
Venmo me and we will be.
No.
Yes.
I happen to like Tom a lot.
No.
Yes, I do.
So actually, we're almost out of time. Let me just play one more and we'll get to the rest tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Hold on. It's my bike. Hold on.
I'm excited about the vacation. Riding around new areas. I'm so happy and giddy.
You're not coming with us. I'm sorry about that. We're not, the bike has been semi-retired because I was accosted by a gentleman who wanted to know if I needed medical help.
That's
all it took.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening today.
By the way, you should know, everybody, so what we're going to do is probably throw together some highlight interviews that we've had in the last couple of years, and do a couple of like best ofs for the vacation and some fresh content in there as well as well, maybe a couple of shows. But vacation officially starts for us on Sunday. So we're not next Sunday. We don't plan on having a show. We might throw one of those fakies up there, or it's not a fakie. There'll be some new stuff, but like kind of
a best of or something.
A retrospective, a thoughtful retrospective.
If you are listening/watching on Patreon, please stay right there. We will be right back to do the patrons only show after we get through these credits. If you want to be a part of our Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. You can always email us for free, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. Just a little perk we throw in there for free for everybody, or visit us at burnbarrelpodcast.com.
C'est la vie.